Oh, hey guys. Hope everyone is doing well. For those of you that do not know who I am, my name's Kyle Italiano. I'm a very passionate A-League supporter, very passionate AFL supporter as well. Like my cricket, Big Bash, yeah, all that stuff. But yeah, Today I'm going to be making a video on this. I'm going to review the Melbourne victory versus Central Coast Mariners game, although I didn't see a lot of it, so I can't really delve too deep into it other than to say I was at a board games group. I attend Knox board games. Irrelevant, but for anyone that's interested, it's a great way to spend your Sunday from 12 to 4:30 at the Knox Library, and they go downstairs to play games after. Also went to watch the Australian Open with some friends. At the final, I didn't go, but watched it with some friends. Guys, yeah, look, the game in itself, I didn't see a lot of it. I watched a little bit on my phone. It's Yeah, look, guys, it's a bit of a common pattern for Melbourne victory this year. I mean, we seem to, obviously, seem to rely on wingers to score goals, whether it's Santos, whether it's Matt Grimaldi. Velupale's been sadly out of form. In all seriousness, I'm not starting Velupale. I'd rather play Piscovo on the left or right wing than have Velupale on the left or right wing. That's just my opinion. Velupale's been way out of form this year. He has not performed well or played well this year at all. I know he's come back from injury. I know that has really affected him, and I couldn't do any better. But he is. I think there's got other wingers, even Keegan Jelagic. I think he might be a midfielder. Not too sure, but there's other guys that are deserving of Santos and Matt Grimaldi. They're my starting two wingers. I think you got to leave Velupale and Piscovo and all them on the bench. I saw a little bit of it towards the end when Central Coast just kind of parked the bus and sat back, and Melbourne victory had quite a few shots, and hats off to Andrew Redmayne, made some important saves. I only saw the last few minutes, but the last few minutes virtually lived in Central Coast defensive half and their penalty box, and Melbourne victory couldn't score, guys. For anyone that wants to blame Arthur Dallas for that loss, I know some guys in the Melbourne victory supporter group chat. I know some of them will blame him for the loss, but the reality of it is they don't have a decent number 9. Virgos is he's not up to A-League standard. I know he's had 2 very good games. He had one against Adelaide, and then he scored the hat-trick against Wellington. But outside of that, guys, he hasn't. He's had patches where he's looked good, and he's done a couple of nice things here and there, but he's just he's very good in the air, but once the ball hits the ground, he's just he's not good on the ground. In the air, he's very good, but on the ground, he's just not good. One matter as always was setting up shots on goal. He was trying to get other players involved in the game. He's not scoring goals himself. I think that's the icing on the cake for him. But yeah, Danny John Rowe, as always. I think he might have got subbed out at half time. I'm not too sure. For Keegan Jelagic. It's obviously you got your defence as well. That's you've got Davidson, you got Miranda, you've got Jackson, you got Josh Rawlins, Insignera, Adama Traore. Not all of those guys start. All of those guys are in and out. So, but the defence is okay, as I've mentioned. You've got Jackson, Insignera, Rawlins, Adama Traore. You got some decent names there. You know, I think I mentioned Jackson, that rotate through, but look, could have they done more to stop that goal? I watched the highlights. It was a pretty decent strike. Maybe they could have closed him down a bit better. I don't know. It was a decent strike. Very good goal. So yeah, at the end of the day, that separates the two teams, and we go on to next week. But I really want to reiterate, Arthur Dallas might not be the long-term answer. Maybe he is, but they don't have a decent number 9. I mean, people that want to blame Dallas, whatever his name is, Dialis, I think his name is. I think you're looking at it through the wrong lens. You're not seeing the actual problem at hand, which is Virgos and Jinreek, and whoever's in charge of recruiting for Melbourne Victory. I mean, they recruited Matt Grimaldi, they recruited Keegan Jelagic, they recruited Danny John Rowe. But they didn't recruit strikers. I don't know if they got a lot of these guys on a free transfer. I don't know if Melbourne Victory are a bit cash strapped. I'm not sure, but it's a glaring problem. There's two problems. Can't seem to win away from home. At home seem to do really well, and then away from home just seem to really struggle. So that's a pattern. Home form seems to be really strong. Away form seems to be... They've only won once away all season. That was against Perth Glory. They've won like one game away out of like 6, 7, or 8 games it might be. So that's not good. That's not going to get you in the top 6. It's not going to get you in the top 3. You need to be better away from home. Got another challenge against the resurgent Wellington Phoenix, who, in my view, should have beaten Wellington. I watched a little bit. I didn't watch all that game, but in my view, should have won that game. They looked the more dangerous going forward. They probably just had a couple defensive lapses. I'm not sure, but again, guys, I can't play to save myself, but I'm just, Giancarlo Italiano looked a bit stifled after the game. He felt they should have won, so I don't think that's going to be easy, but we go on to next week. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you agree with me or not. Anyway, go Victory, and I'll make a video on some other games and crowds and all that stuff another time, sometime soon, because crowds over the weekend were... 2 games were encouraging. The Newcastle Jets game, getting over 12,000 fans, 12,100 and something, was decent. The Sydney Derby, over 33,000 people, so that's encouraging. All right, see you guys.